scholars. I hope you're fine and keeping safe at home. My name is Ernest Emmanuel and I'll be taking you on today's lesson. But before we proceed, I want to give you 3 different formats of a short story. Now you're going to see these formats in 3 different examples, but as I said, same story, but I want you to take serious observations of the formats. Alright, this is the first format. Example A. I would like us to read this story together. Let's go. A story tells that 2 friends were walking through the desert. During some point of the journey, they had an argument, and one friend slapped the other one in the face. The one who got slapped was hurt, but without saying anything, wrote in the sand, "Today, my best friend slapped me in the face." Now, have you taken observation of this format? Now, let us look at the next format. Example B. Same story, different format. What can you observe in this format? All right, I would like you to write your observations down and also compare it with the next format, example C. Can you also observe anything? Well, I would like you to write down your observations because it will help us as we proceed in the course of the lesson. And if you have taken your observations, what do you think the lesson is leading us to? All right, yes. Today, we'll be talking on a topic, writing basic paragraph. Writing basic paragraph. In this lesson, you will learn to do the following. First, you will learn to define a paragraph. Second, you will learn to identify the use of 2 paragraph forms. And lastly, you will learn to write a basic paragraph. Now, does anyone have an idea of what a paragraph is? All right, let's go on. What is a paragraph? A paragraph is simply a different section of a written composition that consists of 1 or more sentences, usually dealing with one point and identified by an indentation or a new line. Now I want you to observe the words in red. Those are the keywords. First, it is written in what? It is written simply a different section. A paragraph is simply a different section of what? A written composition that consists of 1 or more sentences and then consists of 1 point. And how can you identify it? It is identified by an indentation or a new line. In all compositions, there is use of what? Paragraph. Compositions cannot be separated from paragraphs. Every writing, every essay, every long, writing in English makes use of what? Paragraphs to make it more effective and more presentable. Now, you'll be asking, what is indentation or a new line? Let us look at this example. Can you see the first section, the upper section of this story? It is the story we read earlier. A story tells that 2 friends were walking through the desert. During some point of the journey, they had an argument and one friend slapped the other one in the face. Full stop. Now, can you see the space between this first section and where the next section continues? Now, that space is referred to as what? New line paragraphing. New line paragraphing. It separates the first section and the next section. Now, that space is referred to as what? New line paragraph. New line paragraphing is usually used in online writing. Usually when a software, should I say, your your application does not support indentation, you use what? New line to show, or to to show your paragraphs, Now you would notice that in the next should I say section, there is a large what? Space separating the first paragraph and the second paragraph. That is how new line paragraphing works. Now, let us move to the next one. How to write a paragraph. Yes, I know. Ask yourself a question. I know how to write a paragraph, right? Is it not to leave a space and then continue? You are not far from it. But can you differentiate why you are writing a paragraph or why you are beginning a paragraph? Now, what are the rules on how to write a paragraph? First is to what? Indent. What is indentation? This is a blank space between a margin and the beginning of a line of text. A blank space. That space you like saying, I want to leave a space to indicate I'm starting a paragraph. Yes, is what? Is indentation. Let us look at this example. A story, that same story. But I want you to observe something. Yeah, can you see that arrow that just bounced in? Now, can you see where the A began and where the next line continued? Do you notice that there is a space between the margin that the A started and where the D, the desert below, continued? Now, the blank space between a margin and the beginning of a line of text, just as seen in this example, as you can see where that arrow is referred to as what? An indent. So in composition writing, anytime you leave a space in your first paragraph and subsequent paragraphs, you are leaving what? An indent. Now let us look at another rule for writing paragraphs. Begin with a capital letter in each sentence. Now let us observe this paragraph. What do you observe? You can see the paragraph began with what? A capital letter, an uppercase in red. You can see a story. The A there is in capital. Then you can see where the first sentence ended with a full stop. The next sentence began with what? Yes, an uppercase D. The first word there, the initial alphabet there began with what? Capital letter. Just as you can see. Now let us tag this example A. Let us look at example B. That is the new, the different format. Now, students, it is very wrong for us to begin a sentence with what? Lowercase or small letters. As you can see in example B, you can see it began with what? Lowercase, small letter A. You can see it there in red. You can see it there in red. You can also see after the first sentence, after the full stop, the next sentence also began with what? Lowercase or small letter D, as you can see in red. This is a very wrong method of what? Of writing a paragraph or a sentence. You do not begin a sentence with what? A lowercase letter or a small letter. So always avoid this method. Thirdly, use period or full stop. Period is also known as full stop at the end of every sentence. Now, students are fond of writing without making appropriate use of their punctuation. It is a very wrong method of writing. As you can see, can you see where that line is after the first sentence? You can see there is a full stop, desert. You can see that a story tells that two friends were walking through the desert. Full stop. Then it continued. And it ended with also what? A full stop. As you can read, you can see it. So always make appropriate use of what? Punctuation where necessary. Do not write and write and write without applying the rules of what? Punctuation. Let us compare it with example B. Now, what can you notice? Compare it with example A and tell me the faults you can find in example B. Yes, there is no punctuation. So please, we must avoid this. We must avoid example B, what? Method of writing. Let us build our what? Our use of punctuation so that we can express ourselves more effectively in composition. Another rule we must observe in writing paragraph is not to use point form. Don't use point form. Now, I would like us to flash back what you observed in the first, before we began the lesson. I said you should take note of or you should observe the examples, the format they were written in. Now, point form was in one of the examples, and that was example what? Example C. Now, what can you notice in this first paragraph? Yes. Can you notice the box there? The box there refers to what? Point. Also look at example what? Sorry, the second paragraph. There is a point. Now, it is a very wrong rule. You can see the point there. You can see the point there. You do not number your paragraphs. You do not write them in point form using asterisks or dots or a good or a cycle to show that this is my first paragraph, this is my second paragraph. No. In essay, in composition, you do not use point form. Avoid such method of writing. It is a very bad method in writing composition. So in writing paragraphs, avoid numbering your paragraphs. Don't use point form. It is a very bad method of what? Writing. Now, in the course of this lesson, we have been able to look at what? Yes? What have we been able to look at? Yes. We've been able to look at a paragraph. Say a paragraph is a subdivision of a written composition, usually on one point. We looked at how to write basic paragraph, and we said you must what? Indent. You must begin each sentence with a capital letter. Use period, that is full stop, at the end of every sentence. And don't use point form in writing paragraphs. That was our last point. We said do not what? Do not number your paragraphs. It is a very bad method of writing. Please, students, I would like you to note, a paragraph discusses on one point. Do not merge 2 or 3 points and discuss them in one paragraph. Always express your points in each paragraph. That will make what? Your composition more presentable and more organized. All right. I would like us to attempt something right now. Don't forget, I said at the end of the lesson, you must learn to write what? A paragraph. Now let us look at this. Now, I would like us to read this. I would like us to read this and then answer the question that follows. Activity 1, that is assignment 1. To be sure that you've understood the lesson, let us read this. Jiba owns a donkey called Jackie. Jiba is a very tolerant and kind master. The donkey is lazy and is always finding ways to avoid work. One day, while returning with loads of salt on his back, Jackie falls in the river. He realizes that the fall has lessened the weight of the sacks as the salt has dissolved in water. The next few days, Jackie purposely falls into the water every day. Jiba is unhappy at the way Jackie is behaving because he is losing money in the process. He decides to teach Jackie a lesson. Very lazy donkey, right? All right. Now, I want you to read this short story again and again until you've understood. Then you attempt this question. Attempt rewriting the short story above in 3 paragraphs. Yes, this story on Jiba and Jackie. Attempt rewriting the short story above in 3 paragraphs. Then, I would like you to also attempt this one. Let's read this together. An outbreak of an unknown disease, virus that can be contracted by human contact, is on the loose. The general public is yet to be enlightened on the nature of this deadly disease. As a medical professional, discuss in 3 paragraphs preventive measures you will advise the public to adopt so as to avoid being infected with the virus until a cure is found. I know you can do it. I believe you can do it because I know very well that this activity is something that will make you rack your brain and bring out your best. So I'll be expecting your feedback and your answers. I believe the lesson has been interesting. Thank you, and let's call it a day. See you in our next lesson.